An important part of any presentation that is made by Oracle and their partner Marketing Cube, which is us, the following is important for you to understand. So I'll leave it there for a moment for you to understand. Essentially what this is telling you is anything that we talk about from a product feature point of view is forward-looking only and not necessarily a commitment, but we'll certainly make clear for you as we talk today about what is currently available versus what we might be thinking about.
Thanks, Vivek. Good morning, everybody. Marketing Cube, our business, focuses on helping clients and more specifically marketers deliver unique customer experiences using the Oracle Marketing Cloud. And it's really taking everything that Vivek's been talking about and how do you actually put this into place. We've developed this framework called Design for Automation, really to help our customers do this. And it starts at the top with really strategic alignment. You might have you've got your marketing automation strategy, and you need to align that with your overall marketing strategy. And find it's a piece that people really struggle with, to break it down and to make sure that what they're doing on a day-to-day basis from their marketing automation side of things lines up with their key goals and what they're trying to achieve. So I think that's that's the first and most basic point is, why are we doing this? What's the purpose? And how can our technology help us to achieve those goals? And that links in with the data insights piece, so the customer insights piece, and that is the data. So who are the audiences that you have? What are their personas? And what are the critical pieces of information that you need to tailor that customer experience? It may be the end of the contract, it may be where a matter is, it may be the fact that they're a brand new customer, but all those different pieces of information could ultimately drive a different customer experience. And we're moving away from kind of communicating to everybody the same way and starting to communicate to people on a more personalized basis and developing what we call situational bias, situational awareness. That's kind of understanding where your client is in their buying process or where they are in terms of their relationship with your firm, and then what communications they should be getting as a result, and moving away from kind of all communications to all people. And I think to understand that better, we go through this process called customer journey mapping. I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with it. But our goal in going through that customer journey map is to really identify those moments that matter. They're made up of micro moments that Vivek's been talking about. And ultimately, by understanding those, we can see what we do well and what we don't do so well, and what gaps and priorities there might be in that customer journey map that we can then look to augment through our campaign and experience design. So that's the component, the next piece, which is really that CX planning. And that is, what are we focusing on? Which areas do we need to focus on, and why? Is it when a new client joins the firm, do they understand everything that we do? And how do we help them to solve the problems that they have, regardless of who they are within that business? And obviously, clients are going to have very different requirements when they come in. So it's starting to build that experience. And to do that, we have to have the content. In most cases, we've got content available. We might break it down in different ways, or we might need to develop new content that fits it with the experience that we're planning. And last but not least is kind of managing success. And that's a couple of factors. One is measuring success and understanding what's working, what's not working. And the other is the team side of things, and that's making sure you've got the team to deliver success and the skills within that team to be able to deliver success. So that's the whole, of the concept. And why are we doing it? Essentially what we're trying to do is go up this range of different marketing automation maturity. So generally firms and companies will start at broadcast marketing, which is essentially sending very similar messages to broad groups of people, automating it so you can send more messages to more people more easily. You get some marketing efficiencies out of that, but you're not really adapting. So the next level up is really adapting and reacting based on what your clients are doing. So did they come to the event? Did they engage or open an email? Did they change their status or their profile from a client perspective? And does that mean that they should get some different communication? So it's just starting to be adaptive and look at what sort of changes you could make based on what you're hearing from your clients. A good example of this is preference centers and preference management. We're starting to see this move forward a lot, I guess, in the overall buying cycle. So rather than waiting until somebody's kind of at the point where they want to unsubscribe, and then asking them what they would like to hear about, bringing that to the front of the process and going, welcome, you're starting to interact, starting to find out about our company, what would you like to hear about, and how would you like to hear about it? How frequently would you like to hear about it? And that's sort of so that we can build more responsive and adaptive marketing. And that moves up to relationship marketing. So once you have a much better understanding of your client, you can start to develop more relationship marketing approaches. And that ties in closely with what Vivek was talking about on the ABM side. So ABM side is really relationship marketing plus what the BDMs are doing put together, so that we can ensure that we've got cross-channel consistency, and we can start to drive some better communications and even raise that situational awareness even more. And then the final is lifecycle management, where we really understand that journey implicitly, and we're able to say, okay, if we pull this lever or if we do this type of communication, we know we're going to drive this type of result, and this really drives, that overall customer lifetime value. So let's have a quick look and dive into some of the couple of organizations and a couple of examples where this has been done really well. I just wanted to have a look at these open days that we ran in the higher education space. I know a lot of you will run events on a regular basis, and I thought it was an interesting case study because all of the universities that we work for had to do this switch to move their open days online, and actually in pretty short notice, and in some cases they weren't sure whether it was going to be online or not, but they had to develop a methodology and a way of running an open day. And they took pretty different approaches. Some focused more on an online experience, almost an avatar walking around kind of a university campus, to others that took more of a a hybrid approach where there was some interactivity with speakers and with online sessions, webinars and Zoom meetings, then with some software in the background. And then others took it as a series of presentations, more like a conference that was moved online. And they had pretty different results, but I think the main thing was they were able to drive really personalized experience. So the key things were they personalized email invitations based on study area of interest across multiple channels. So digital advertising, social media, looked at their existing leads and what they had. They were able to build a pre-event nurture. So it built up over a number of weeks to kind of prior to the actual event. And that nurture drove people to a custom landing page with the ability to plan their own schedule, build their own schedule, and get reminders on the day for events that they were interested in. And that could include like an email reminder or an SMS reminder. And then that flowed through into kind of a post-event content being available and a personalized post-event nurture, hopefully helping their future students, prospective students, to work out the courses they were interested in from their study areas, and then ultimately go ahead and apply. The University of Auckland, as an example, trained something like 160 presenters and delivered over 50 live sessions over 3 days, and had really impressive viewer statistics in terms of number of attendees and the amount of time and the amount of interaction that they got on that day. So I think there's lots of lessons there in terms of how online events are run. And what we'll see, I'm sure, moving forward is a lot more kind of hybrid events being run where you've got a physical component and also an online component to support that if people aren't able to make it because you've developed all this content. And the interesting thing as well was that this is essentially now a template, a model that can be expanded on and leveraged whenever they run an event moving forward. So I thought what we might be interesting to do now as well would be just to have a quick look at this experience and how this was put together in terms of your experience getting here today and how that was built out. So I'm going to hand over to Derek. I think he's going to quickly show us a little bit about how that was done so you can see, this automation in action.
Thank you so much for making some time to be with us today. We finished a little bit early, which is always good. It's good to have an early mark. But thanks again, and thank you, Vivek, and thank you, Adrian, for making some time to be with us today.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.